You know, but that's by design. I mean, you say that it's a carrot and stick game that European plays across the continent, in the Caribbean, and in America with what I call American Africans. It's the same game. Appeasement, stall, delay, appease for the moment, but the ultimate cure is never found. Because see, to find the ultimate cure means to empower people of color. And once you empower them, you give them access. Access to what? Resources, power, equality, status, power. That can be dangerous. Because see, black people were not the original focus or intent of the founding fathers. So we are here just by hapstance, by history.
Well, we were here for free labor. The extent to which the Europeans considered our well-being was for the slave labor. Once slavery was ended, our usefulness
diminished. Right. So even now, to a point, it's almost obsolete.
Because I mean, I mentioned ghettos before, and that's how the ghettos came about. Because okay, I have this population of black people that are no longer needed, so we'll just pack them in these ghettos here and neglect them.
Prisons.
Forget about them. Prisons too, and the prison is even an aspect of slavery, because the point that I always make that we don't realize, the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, also allowed slavery in the case of punishment. So prisons now is a business.
It's a business.
You know, they imprison you and then they force you to work and make a profit off of your labor. And if prisoners are paid at all for their labor, a lot of times they aren't. They're given a few pennies. Nothing significant. So all we were ever brought here for was, free or cheap labor, and to this day, that's still what we're useful for.
But the obfuscations continue. So, for example, blacks are put into the categories of Republican, Democrat, rich, poor, suburban, urban, different religious faiths, Catholic, Baptist, Southern Baptist, Evangelists. These are all obfuscations. These are all distractions that distract us from the fight that we need. These are distractions. That's why I don't argue with the Moors, with sovereignty. I don't argue with Christians about Jesus. I don't argue with Muslims about Muhammad and the Kaaba. I don't argue with Hebrew Israelites about the God of the sky. None of that. Those are all obfuscations. Those are the survival techniques that people use to try to filter and navigate through life. But the real problem, the real issue, they don't want to deal with that. They want to stay in the hocus pocus religious modality.
Yeah, that was actually a topic that came up last week too, when we were discussing the Haitian Revolution, and we spoke about, in terms of religion, and it's interesting to find that in many instances, slaves actually used religion as a catalyst for their uprising. For example, Nat Turner was inspired by reading the Bible and came up, led a rebellion. So one of the things I've noticed with black people now is that we get into these religions, but we don't even necessarily study them. For example, we don't read the Bible. So a lot of black people claim that they're Christian, but they don't read the Bible. And in not doing this, they don't realize that in many ways the message in the Bible is a very revolutionary message. And when you look at the person of Jesus, well, who was Jesus? Jesus was this radical guy that was condemning the rich, condemning the hypocritical religious leaders of his day, condemning the politicians, and ultimately he was crucified by the Roman Empire, because crucifixion was essentially a method that the Roman state used to assassinate people. So Jesus was killed by the Roman state, but we don't read the Bible in that sense, so we think of Jesus as being this very peaceful, just turn the other cheek kind of guy that was long suffering in the face of oppression, but that's not really what he was. So one of the issues we run into, like I said, with religion is we don't actually study these religions in a way that's beneficial for us. We just want the religion to make us feel good and make us feel happy, but we don't want to engage in any kind of activity that will really liberate us.
Well, the Europeans de-weaponized religion. It's been de-weaponized. It's become totally spiritual.
But for us, not for them.
Yeah, for them, right? Yeah. It's been de-weaponized, and it's waiting the by and by, the sweet by and by when Jesus comes, or whatever modality. But it's not designed to emancipate people at all. It's actually designed to put you to sleep, unless you're willing to use it as a battle axe, as a sword. Like how I see the white European, the white Christians use their religion in the Crusades. They weaponized it to conquer land and territory and people. That's a good religion. But for us as black people, we haven't been able to weaponize it for our own liberation. That's the problem.
Well, because that's not the way it's given to us. And the first issue with how the religion is given to us is that image of a white Jesus.
Right, yeah.
So when it's handed to us in the face of a white Jesus, and as I said, it's handed to us with these conceptions. But for example, to be a good Christian is to be peaceful and to turn the other cheek, and that hasn't gotten us anywhere. And a point that I make very often is when you look at the advancements that African people have made, particularly here in the United States, it's never been through nonviolence. The abolishment of slavery, it took violent struggles to end that. Even here in the United States, it took a civil war to end slavery. The civil rights movement, people think that civil rights was won just by peaceful, non-violent protesting and singing "We Shall Overcome." And they forget there were a lot of riots that took place too in the 60s. The reason why John F. Kennedy got involved in civil rights wasn't because of the peaceful marching, it's because black people started rioting in the streets, stabbing police officers, burning towns. And Kennedy then realized that this is a serious issue. You have to step in and do something. But he wouldn't have done anything.
Organically.
Otherwise, with peaceful protesting. So even the way we think about our history, if we think of our history in terms of, well, we gained everything to being peaceful and turning the other cheek, you're reading history the wrong way and you're taking the wrong lessons. And the dangerous thing about taking the wrong lessons from history is that if you try to apply it to a struggle now, it won't work. I mean, even recent examples we could look at is Ferguson and Baltimore. What happened after the rioting that went on there? Obama sent the Department of Justice and they conducted an investigation, and it exposed how corrupt the police forces in cities were. Now, would that have happened if the people there weren't rioting and lighting cars on fire and engaging in that activity? So, as I said, any type of progress or recognition that you find black people getting, it's through violence, it's through protesting and rioting and that kind of thing. It's never through just sitting there peacefully and allowing oppressors to continue to brutalize us without doing anything.
But despite these reports from the DOJ about Ferguson and the police department, no one gets fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, the police chief has his job.
Yeah, I mean,
all the officers still have their job and they get paid vacations and they go home to their lovely wives or what have you. There's no ramifications.
I mean, there's no serious ramification, but it shows the situation that we're in. That, as I said, this investigation that was conducted wouldn't have even been conducted in the first place if it wasn't for the rioting. Now, what would it take to go to the next step of actually, holding these people accountable and really addressing the issue? That's what we have to start looking at as a community. Because, like I said, unless we're rioting the streets and burning cars and burning up buildings, we're completely neglected by both, as you said, both the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, because these things are.
Yeah, those are obfuscation. Those are created systems. The politics of America is basically like a church. You in the Republican church or the Democratic church. So it's a church nonetheless, but it's a powerless church. They're designed to empower you. If you notice how, for example, when Trump became president, how the church had to go bow to him and kiss his ring, in Trump Towers, to appease him, to get certain things done for the church, for the communities, and to build homes and to build jobs and create jobs in urban cities. And it was a shame to see us graveling for crumbs.
That won't come.
That won't come. But the history is full of us doing this.